Sports.
If you're in Brussels, Belgium, and you need some good luck, well, you rub the bronze sculpture of 14th century Belgian hero Everard Circulus.
But if you're a gymnast competing in today's European Cup Championships, you'll have to earn your luck with your hands in a different way.
Luck to a world-class gymnast means work, practice, and preparation. Because it's said that preparation is the mother of good luck. New Soviet sensation Tatiana Gutsu feels she's ready for the women's all-around competition today at the European Cup Gymnastics Championships.
Brought you the men's all-around competition from Brussels at the European Cup Gymnastics Championships. This week, it's the women's all-around, and here's Bart Connor and Kathy Johnson.
There's a new face in town, Soviet Tatiana Gutsu. She has the acrobatic flair of Olga Korbut, matched with the competitive poise of Nadia Comaneci and topped off with her own brand of aerial expertise. She's here in Brussels today near the centerpiece of the 1958 World's Fair, the Atomium. And it's on these grounds that the Palais Omnisport is the site for this year's European Cup Gymnastics Championships, a culmination of 7 European meets throughout this past season. And today it's the women's all-around competition where we'll see some of the world's best compete in the vault, balance beam, bars, and floor exercise for the all-around gold. And hello, everyone. I'm Bart Connor along with Kathy Johnson, and here we are at the start of a major gymnastics event, and as usual, the Soviets are the favorites. But usually we're here to see people like Svetlana Boginskaya and Natalia Kalinina. Today's young stars are very exciting to watch, and their styles are dramatically different, Kathy.
Their styles are completely different, and so are their strengths and weaknesses. Tatiana Gutsu is much more a trickster, doing amazingly difficult routines on every single event, but she lacks the polish and artistry so characteristic of former Soviet greats. On the other hand, Yelena Grudneva, though her level of difficulty is more than sufficient, her strength is her beautiful form. Let's compare the two. In practice, Gutsu shows off her daring double twist, a vault which only a handful of gymnasts in the world can do. But you can also see her legs are apart, so she hasn't reached the perfection in terms of form and aesthetic value. So it's the acrobat versus the artist. Grudneva has finesse. She performs with elegance and complete extension on even the most basic elements.
Our first competitor on the uneven bars, this is Eva Rueda from Spain. She's 19 years old, and an interesting story about her, Kathy. At 5'4" and 112 pounds, she's a lot bigger than these gymnasts here. Many coaches in Spain refuse to work with her, except Jesus Carballo. He's trained her for the last 6 years, and she's doing really well.
She is 6 to 8 inches taller and over 20 pounds heavier than the average world-class gymnast. But you'll see, because of her physical strength, she certainly makes the most of it. Look at the height on her release moves. Way up above the bar. She has a very dynamic dismount coming up. It's a double layout. Look how strongly she swings these giants. Oh, a great double layout, way up above the bar.
And Kathy Rueda, being a head taller than most of the other gymnasts here, she doesn't allow for her size to be a disadvantage.
She has a very unusual technique on her giant swings. It enables her to create so much speed on the swing, so when she releases the bar, she's way up above the bar and maintains that layout position, just a step on the landing.
And with a score of a 9.875, Rueda off to a terrific start. She'll need it, because up on the vault next is Tatiana Gutsu, the Soviet sensation. She'll be up when we come back. The middle of the first rotation, this is Tatiana Gutsu. 14 years old, she's only 4'4" and 68 pounds, 44 pounds lighter and 10 inches shorter than Eva Rueda from Spain, our leader.
A very difficult vault, done very easily. So complex, it's a round-off entry vault. It's called a Yurchenko, but it's laid out with a double twist. It's a lot to do before those feet land on the ground. Now watch this in slow motion. It's a round-off entry vault. So she goes backwards from the board to the horse, lifts off the horse, does a somersault with 2 twists before she lands.
She had a 9.862 on her first vault. That was her second vault, 9.875. So Gutsu ties with Rueda for the lead. Now over to the Soviet teammate of Gutsu. This is Yelena Grudneva on one of her best events, the uneven bars, and she's really pretty to watch here, Kathy.
We've talked so much about Gutsu's level of difficulty, but you don't want to overlook the difficulty in this routine. She begins with beautiful stalder work. Now watch the high release move right there.
17 years old from Siberia.
The most impressive part of this routine is the dismount. It's very difficult and unique. A double front somersault with a half twist right there. And a beautiful landing.
Boy, she really fought to keep her feet planted to the floor.
I've really only seen this dismount done twice before in the United States. And it's incredibly difficult. She does it with such ease. What's interesting about this view, you can really see when she spots the ground, so she can make that half twist and go for a perfect landing. There's the double front, spots the ground, and sets it in for a very nice landing.
And so, with the best performance of the day thus far, a 9.9 for Yelena Grudneva. That brings us to the end of the first rotation here at the European Cup in Brussels. That 9.9 moves Grudneva to first place, and tied for second, her teammate Gutsu with Rueda from Spain. You know, Kathy, sometimes our viewers are confused about the complex moves. Well, let's take a moment and go to school.
During our last broadcast, we explained how most gymnastics moves can be broken down to two basic skills, the handstand and the somersault. Even the most difficult gymnastics combinations are variations of these two skills.
And some moves are so complex and difficult to describe in their technical terms that they're just given the name of the gymnast who first performs them in a sanctioned international competition. The Yurchenko, first performed by Natalia Yurchenko.
It is a very daring vault that begins with a running approach and a round-off onto the board. The gymnast dives backwards to their hands, then lifts up for the afterflight, which is a somersault. This one happens to be a double twist.
And the Tkachev, invented by Alexander Tkachev.
Begins with the first half of a giant swing. The gymnast releases the bar, flies backwards over the high bar, straddles the legs, and regrafts the bar.
Another move taken from men's high bar is the Ginger, invented by Eberhard Ginger.
It also begins with the first half of a giant swing. The gymnast releases the bar and does a back somersault with a half twist to regrasp the bar.
And back to the competition now. Eva Rueda getting ready to go on the beam. She's currently tied for second in the all-around, and this is perhaps her toughest challenge of the day, the balance beam. And Kathy, it's important to point out that at 112 pounds, she's a petite woman in every sense, but in the gymnastics world, she is tall and she is big.
And she's also extremely strong, Bart. You can really see her power on this skill right here. It's a pike somersault, but watch what she does out of it. Opens up and swings down to the balance beam. Her most difficult pass is coming up right here. It's a back handspring into a layout step out. Very nicely done. It's also one of the requirements on the balance beam. The gymnast has to perform an acrobatic series and also a gymnastics acrobatic series, combining an acrobatic skill like that back walkover into a split jump or a dance element.
When her coach Jesus Carballo took her on, he wasn't worried about the fact that she might be too tall to be a world-class gymnast. He was more interested in her determination.
She is very aggressive in competition, which makes her very competitive. She's actually had quite a bit of success internationally. She finished 4th at the European Championships last year behind some great Soviet gymnasts, Boginskaya and Kalinina, and of course Anodi from Hungary. Here's her dismount. It's a round-off double back, looking for a stuck landing. Little hop on that landing. Those tenths of a point are the ones these top gymnasts really have to hold on to hope to finish in the top 3.
No question, a look of relief on her face. She's going to need a good score there, because next up, Tatiana Gutsu. She'll be on the bars, and boy, can she fly. Here at the European Cup, Tatiana Gutsu ready to go on the bars. This is perhaps her best event.
She performs 2 major release moves in this routine, just like the ones we demonstrated earlier. First one is a Ginger. Flyaway with a half twist, very nicely done. next release move is the Tkachev or reverse hecht. Watch for the amplitude or the height above the bar. The dismount coming up is sensational. Watch the body position, pike open layout. Rock solid landing.
Strong performance for Gutsu. Keep in mind, Rueda's score on the balance beam was a 9.875, and they're tied for second in the all-around.
She really has great mechanics on this event. Watch the speed she generates on the swing, the body position in the air, and the height above the bar.
And boy, does she show the power on this dismount.
She has very unusual technique, but you can see that right leg slightly bends on her giant swings. Just ever so slightly, but look at that pike then opens into a layout position and a perfect landing.
Well, it was near perfect in the eyes of the judges, 9.937. That'll move Gutsu into first place. It brings up her teammate now, 17-year-old Yelena Grudneva. And Kathy, this is a very complete exercise. She's getting ready to go on the balance beam where she shows plenty of difficulty and great style.
She is lovely on this event and spectacular as well. Watch the mount. She does a round off on the board and then tumbles down the entire length of the balance beam through to a layout somersault. She has beautiful execution. Look at the toe point. Her legs are always straight. Here's a very difficult pass. It's 2 layout somersaults right in a row. 1, 2. Very nice landing.
She really has a nice rhythm. She never seems to be in a hurry.
This is just beautiful. Look at the scale, showing the full split. Now pirouettes on her hands. It's one of the requirements on balance beam to do a full turn on one leg. Another requirement, a gymnastic series combining 2 dance elements. She's fulfilling all the requirements. Now here's her dismount. It's a double back. Ooh, a step on the landing. I've said this over and over again. It's going to come down to who sticks the most landings.
And Gutsu stuck her landing on the uneven bars.
And though Grudneva had trouble on her landing, watch this skill. The beauty of this movement. Toes pointed, legs straight, even in the most difficult skills.
And a 9.9 is the score for Grudneva, which brings us over to the uneven bars now. This is 14-year-old Kristina Molnar from Budapest, Hungary. She's 4th in the all-around currently.
Some of the basic requirements. A bar routine consists of at least 10 elements of varying degrees of difficulty. One has to be a flight element, or like the release moves we've talked about. Kristina really does excellent work, particularly for how tall she is.
Doesn't she remind you of Tracy Talavera, her body style?
Quite a bit.
Tracy from the U.S. women's team.
You see the nice long lines. She doesn't have a great bit of difficulty in the routine, but it's very clean. Nice split position on the high bar into a front pike with a half twist. Very difficult dismount.
Let's take a look at that reverse hecht again, Kathy. Boy, she had good, clean form and nice body position.
And this is just a beautiful angle to see it from. Watch the legs come up, the flight backwards over the bar, and of course the recatch.
And the dismount, you don't see a lot of these anymore.
Most gymnasts are doing the double back flyaways. This is a different type of difficulty, but perfect for her body type.
And on the strength of that performance, a 9.85 for Kristina Molnar. She moves into 3rd. Gutsu is 1st, and Grudneva is 2nd. And in the back row there's Eva Rueda's family. They drove here all the way from Barcelona, over 1,000 miles, to cheer on Eva. She's dropped down to 5th. We'll be back. Gymnastics Championships, the standings after 2 rotations. Gutsu 1st, Grudneva 2nd, and Kristina Molnar 3rd. Gutsu and Grudneva, Soviet gymnastic machines Maybe sometimes we forget that they're also just like kids everywhere.
It's a 10.
Boy, but back in the gym, they grow up fast. This is Gutsu, our leader. She's on the beam, and she takes some risks here.
This is one of the most difficult balance beam routines in the world. Watch this skill right here. It's a back somersault with a full twist from a standing position. I can't tell you how difficult that skill is. Most gymnasts at this level fulfill the minimum requirements. Gutsu goes above and beyond, particularly in terms of difficulty. Here's her acrobatic series. Very interesting. A layout step out. Now watch that. A back handspring swing down.
Kathy, we talk a lot about her difficulty level. Let's talk about the form and execution. You think she needs a little more polish, don't you?
It's really an area that she needs to improve before the World Championships and the Olympic Games. Her legs aren't quite locked out. She doesn't have perfect toe point. You can see right here, her movements are more angular. Her shoulders are up a little too high. Just doesn't flow. So that area needs work, but this dismount is incredible. She tumbles down the entire length of the balance beam to a full twisting double back. Excellent. Such a difficult pass, and then into the dismount, and it's remarkable how easy she does this. This is just unbelievable. Watch her spot for the beam. Full twist. She gets her eyes on the beam and make sure she's square right over the top of the balance beam. The dismount is 3 back handsprings into a double back somersault with a full twist. She begins the somersault, the full twist, and then pulls that second one around.
So with a score of 9.937, the 14-year-old from Odessa retains the lead. European Cup, Tatiana Gutsu holds the lead. Grudneva second. Rueda moved up to third from fifth. And Kristina Molnar has dropped to fourth. This is Gutsu on the floor.
And the highlight of her routine is her tumbling ability. Watch this. Double layout somersault made more difficult because she tumbles into it through whipbacks. Requirements on the floor exercise, 3 leaps in a row. For a gymnast with so much tumbling ability, that really was an easy second tumbling pass. Dismounts with one of the most difficult dismounts in the floor exercise, a full twisting double back. A very nice routine, strong tumbling, a little weak in the dance. But of course, that should come along over the next couple of years.
And Kathy, they say that the quickest way to get the attention of the international judges is by wowing them with difficulty. Well, she certainly does that.
You can see on this first tumbling pass, as I said, it's a double layout, but it's made more difficult because she tumbles into it. It's a round off back handspring. Now here's the whip back. She tumbles right out of that. Look at the second lift into the second somersault.
And so a score of 9.95 for Gutsu. She'll hold on to the lead. Grudneva, she's on the vault. Her first vault was a 9.925. We'll see if she can do better here, Kathy.
She has beautiful form on this Yurchenko with a full twist. You can see the legs are straight, the toes are pointed. She doesn't quite get the same distance from the horse and height that Gutsu did. It wasn't quite as dynamic, but it sure was pretty. Here's the round off onto the board. She reaches back, lifts up, and here's the full twist.
So the score for Grudneva in her second vault, 9.937. That'll keep her in second behind Gutsu. As we go over to the floor now, this is Kristina Molnar. She's dropped to fourth in the all-around.
And this is a delightful routine in terms of the choreography and choice of music. Unfortunately, her tumbling is not as strong as the top competitors here in the competition. She opens with a triple twist, which is by far the most difficult pass in the entire routine. Part of her exercise is coming up. Her middle pass, she only does a double twist. What's really nice about this gymnast is she shows complete extension in all her leaps. Her leg form is always good.
She, of course, of the Hungarian team that features Henrietta Anodi.
Finishes with a tuck double back, unfortunately with a slight cowboy position, meaning she pulls her legs out to get that rotation. Certainly enjoyable choreography.
Kristina Molnar in a tough battle with Eva Rueda for the bronze medal. We'll be back with her score. Floor exercise for Kristina Molnar from Hungary, a 9.7. Next up on the floor exercise, this is 14-year-old Silvia Mitova from Sofia, Bulgaria. She's coached by her parents, and I know you really like her style.
I do, Bart. She has a unique choice of music here and a wonderful interpretation of the music. Opens with a double layout, which is so surprising to look at this gymnast. She doesn't look powerful at all, but it's a very difficult mount. Truly has a style all her own.
Really unusual to hear a bluesy type selection for a floor routine.
The final tumbling run is a tuck double back. Plenty of difficulty in this routine. More importantly, it feels good.
And from that dramatic floor exercise routine by Silvia Mitova, we'll go now over to the vault, the best event of this young lady, Eva Rueda, who's currently in third place behind the Soviets, trying to hang on for that bronze medal.
And she's flashed the number 491, which tells the judges she's performing a Yurchenko with a full twist.
And this is really where her power comes in handy.
This vault is worth a 10.0 in the code of points. Oh, no, and she's off. Obviously, she wasn't in the right position to go ahead and twist the vault. That vault should have been laid out and with a full twist.
Can you tell what happened here?
It's hard to tell because it actually looked like it was going to be fine. But obviously, she could tell better than we that something was just off.
So what will the judges do now?
Well, unfortunately, that vault is only worth a 9.4, so they'll judge the vault from there and then take an additional 0.3 off for flashing the wrong vault.
Boy, this puts a great deal of pressure on her. She's got one more vault. Certainly her family's concerned. This is her best event. You don't expect this to happen.
And certainly the vault will score in the 8th, so she needs a big vault coming up.
Obviously, the judges are having a little trouble trying to decide what they're going to do with this. This is a really unusual situation. So while we have a minute, let's take a look back at the floor exercise routine that Ava did in the third round. This moved her from 5th back up to 3rd, Kathy.
I'm really glad we get a chance to see this. Watch the tumbling. In terms of outright dynamics and power, she has it all.
Such a fascinating story surrounding this young lady. You know, she comes from a family of modest means, and it's really interesting that here's a young lady who was almost not allowed to compete because she couldn't find a coach. And now, because of her successes, she has a chance to earn money from sponsors and the Gymnastic Federation for her accomplishments. And that money she sends to her family to support her family. She made $80,000 last year to help her family out. What a success.
Watch this pass. This is really great. Double back, punches front, tumbles right back in the other direction.
Keep in mind now that this is a look back. This is a performance from the 3rd round. This is the performance that moved her from 5th up to 3rd, where she stands right now, and she's awaiting her 2nd vault.
She really has, oh no, slight little bobble there in the corner. She has amazing tumbling ability. High double back at the end.
And that score, 9.887, moved her back to 3rd from 5th. Boy, she feels the pressure of having to do that 2nd vault, and certainly her family is concerned. There's pressure there as well.
To me, it's very important to do well. That way, I am able to help my family. Because in my house, we don't have much money.
Well, there's the story. Certainly a bronze medal would be important for her at this point. She needs a 9.775 to maintain 3rd.
And Bart, the timing on this particular vault is so critical, and if she can't get it back on this attempt, she would have to count that low score. There's the round-off entry. All right, laid out your Yurchenko with the full twist. That's the vault she had planned to do on the first one. And a great attempt here. Of course, she had the hop on the landing, but she is just relieved to get it over with.
And so is Jesus Carballo, the coach.
This vault should score very well. You could see the approach was almost identical to the first vault. But she felt better about it. Lifts up. Here's the full twist.
And the score, 9.875. Ava Rueda does it. She earns the bronze medal here at the European Cup Gymnastics Championships. A big day for Ava and her family and the Spanish Gymnastic Federation. Also today was a battle of the artists against the acrobats. Yelena Grudneva, she defined aerial artistry with her vault. But it was the acrobats who won today. Tatiana Gutsu, she dazzled us with her Olga Korbut-like daring. Well, perhaps we'll see them both this fall on ABC Sports at the World Gymnastics Championships.